I thought the worst thing she could throw at me was another eye roll during an argument. Then she smirked and said, "My ex was bigger." She didn't mean heart or character. She meant exactly what you think, and she wanted it to land like a slap. It did. Not because it was true, but because it was meant to make me small in front of people who'd repeat it later. I didn't shout. I didn't defend myself. I set a time and a place. If she wanted bigger, we'd measure in public, and we'd let her ex keep the scoreboard. We'd been together a year and change, long enough to learn each other's breakfast orders and the rhythms of small talk, but not long enough to merge bank accounts or families. On good days, we were easy, thrift store dates, Sunday omelets, a shared playlist that could get us through traffic without a word. On bad days, it felt like debate club with knives. She liked to win. It wasn't about resolution. It was about the finish, the little smirk when she could see I'd taken a hit. And when logic didn't work, she reached for personal. That was the pattern I'd been trying not to notice. The fight that set this off? Trash day. I forgot. She began with, "You never," and ended with silence, then the head tilt. My ex was bigger. She let the word hang, like a chandelier in a room too small for it. My chest went cold first, then hot. I stared at the countertop, counting the burn marks near the stove. I heard myself say, "Okay, not a concession, an invitation." 2 days later, the group chat pinged, "Saturday gym, 11 a.m. 3 of our friends said yes. She dropped a casual, "Maybe Mason will swing by." Mason, the ex, lived 10 minutes from the gym and posted mirror selfies like it was a second job. I typed nothing. I changed my alarm. What she didn't really know, I've lifted since high school. Quietly. No hashtags. No belts with my name stitched in. I spot guys who don't re-rack and help new lifters fix their wrists. I don't peacock. But there's a difference between silence and absence. Friday night, she tested the smirk again, like a lighter low on fuel. "You're not nervous?" she said, scrolling her phone. "About seeing him?" I rinsed a glass. "Why would I be?" She shrugged. "Guys compare. It's biology." I set the glass upside down, let the water bead and run. "Biology's simple," I said. "So are numbers." What I didn't say, I had no interest in humiliating anyone. I had every interest in ending a game I didn't agree to play. Saturday, 10:40 a.m., I was already warm. The room smelled like rubber and iron. Music thumped, air cool from the vents. I picked a bench where you couldn't miss me unless you were trying. At 11:04, she walked in with 2 friends and a man in a sleeveless shirt whose biceps showed neat, disciplined veins. He scanned the room like he owned half of it. She saw me. The smirk flickered. She said something to him, and his mouth bent upward, just enough. He looked at my bar, at the plates, at me. "Sup," he said, like punctuation. "Need a spot later?" I asked. His eyes did a little inventory. "I'll manage." I nodded, slid a 10 on each side, louder than necessary. She folded her arms. I didn't look at her again. Little did I know, the lift would be the easy part. The real weight was what came after. I claimed a bench near the dumbbells because that's where ego lingers longest. People pretend to stretch there so they can watch without looking like they're watching. I started with an empty bar. Shoulders tight, scapulas set, feet planted. The old routine calmed my pulse. They hovered at the cable machine first, doing face pulls that looked like a warm-up and a performance. He glanced again. She didn't. Not directly. Her attention skimmed over me like a hand over a hot stove. Close enough to feel, not enough to commit. "Workin'?" I asked when he drifted near the bench. Neutral tone. No challenge. He nodded like it cost him something. "Yeah. What's your number?" I said, sliding off the bench. He puffed his cheeks, the way guys do when they want a soundboard. "We'll see." He loaded 2 plates aside, 225. Solid. He did 2 clean reps. On the third, his elbows flared. The bar slowed at the sticking point. A little leg shake. He locked it out with a breath that wasn't quite a grunt. "Racked." "Nice," I said, meaning it. He didn't reply. He sat up, rolled his shoulders, stood like the bar had tried to insult him. "Mind if I go up?" I asked. I added 10s, then another 5. The clinks were small thunder. 255. I lay back. Breath in, lats tight. Eyes fixed on a scuff on the ceiling that looked like a comma. 1, 2, 3, smooth reps. The 4th was slow, the 5th cleaner. I racked on 6 because 6 felt like a sentence with a period. I sat up to the sound of quiet that wasn't quiet. The music, the clatter of plates, and that human hush that happens when people decide to pay attention. I didn't look at her first. I looked at him. His jaw set. He rolled his wrists, nodded to no one, and said, "Warm up." He added fives. 235. He got two, failed the third. The bar paused halfway. I grabbed with 2 fingers under the bar, guided it home. No struggle. No flourish. "Got you," I said. He didn't answer. She cleared her throat like it was a question. Our friend Kat appeared with a "Yo, we're doing hip thrusts later, don't fight over the pad." It broke the spell for everyone but us. "You're set," he said, not looking at me. I slid on another 5 each side. 265. Breath in, touch, press, 3 steady. The third slowed. I let it slow. I wanted the room to see the slow. Racked. My heartbeat knocked once in my throat and smoothed out. I finally looked at her. The smirk was gone. She was chewing the inside of her cheek, staring at my hands like they'd betrayed a secret she'd told the room. He backed away with the careful dignity of someone who doesn't want to look like they're backing away. "Gonna hit pull," he told her. "Back day." It sounded like an apology he hoped no one would translate. She didn't move. "You done?" she asked me, but it wasn't a question about the bench. "Almost," I said. "One more set." But the last set wasn't the lift. It was the conversation I'd been avoiding since the smirk. He migrated to the row machines. She stayed within orbit. Our friends pretended not to be watching, the way people pretend not to refresh drama. I stripped the bar to 2 plates and let my hands rest on the knurling. "Walk with me," I said to her. 5 minutes. She hesitated like there was a cover charge. Then she nodded and followed me to the water fountain, where the white noise could hide a sentence or two. "You wanted a comparison," I said. "Now you have one." She crossed her arms tighter. "I never asked you to. You wanted me to flinch," I said. "That was the point. Make me feel small so you could feel big." "That's not." She started, then stopped. Her eyes flicked toward Mason. He was staring at the floor between his shoes, phone in hand, thumbs still. "What are we doing?" I asked. "Because if we're keeping score, say that. If we're building something, say that too." She laughed once, sharp, brittle. "So this is about your ego?" "No," I said too fast. Then slower. "It's about respect." She wet her lips. "You didn't take the trash out. And you told a room I don't measure up." The fountain hissed. She finally looked at me, and for the first time all week her face wasn't arranged. It was just a face. "I didn't think you'd care," she said. "That's the problem," I said. "You didn't think." A pause opened. The gym's soundtrack faded to a dull thump, like a heart through a wall. "Okay," she said. "Okay, I was mean. I shouldn't have said it." "And?" I asked. "I'll fix it," she said. "How?" I asked. She glanced back at Mason. "I'll start by not letting him walk around thinking he can comment on you." Her voice shook once. "Or me." I thought that might be the end. It wasn't. It was the hinge. Mason sauntered back like he'd forgotten something near us. He hadn't. "You good?" he asked her, eyes skipping over me like I was gym decor. "We're fine," she said. "We're talking." He smiled at her, then let his gaze drop to me. "You lift," he said, like a diagnosis. "Sometimes," I said. He leaned an elbow on the fountain. "Bench is one thing. Numbers don't mean." "Numbers mean exactly numbers," I said. "You want to squat?" "Deadlift." He laughed, but it didn't land. "Relax, man." "I am relaxed," I said. "You're the one who needed spotting at 235. His jaw ticked. It was small, but it betrayed him. She noticed it, too. "Mason," she said, voice low, warning baked into it. He straightened. "You know what? I'm gonna head out. Schedule." It was 11:26. "You just got here," she said. "Back's tight," he lied. He added a shrug I recognized. A man trying to keep his shape while it leaks. He walked toward the locker room with the dignity of someone being watched for the first time. The door swung. The music swallowed him. She exhaled like a question mark. "That wasn't about you," she said to me, but her eyes said otherwise. "It was never about him," I said. "It was about us." She nodded once. "I know." Silence again, and then the smallest thing. Her hand, halfway to mine, then stopping. "Do you want me to say I'm sorry?" she asked. "I want you to be sorry," I said. "Saying it is easy." She swallowed. "Then I am." That should have been relief. It wasn't. Something else was moving now, something not about plates or pride. Because when people lose the script, the truth leaks in. And the truth wasn't finished talking. We ended up by the mirrored wall where everyone checks form and everyone checks themselves. She stood close enough that I could see the small scar near her eyebrow I'd never asked about. You didn't deserve it, she said, looking at our reflections instead of me. The comment. What made you say it? I asked. She sucked in a cheek. I wanted you to feel what I felt. What did you feel? Small, she said. You forgot the trash. You were late to dinner Wednesday. You seemed somewhere else. I was tired, I said. And you wanted control. She winced. I wanted proof. Of what? That you still chose me, she said, so quietly the bass almost swallowed it. I know it's stupid. I reached for the fastest weapon. The dirtiest one, I said. She nodded, small. Yeah. I watched her try to find a safe angle to stand in front of her own words. There wasn't one. What now, she asked. Now we decide if we can do a version of us that doesn't aim below the belt, I said. Because I won't live there. She turned from the mirror and finally faced me. I can do that, she said. I want to do that. Then start here, I said. With what you tell people about me. About us. She blinked. You mean fix the story? I mean tell the truth. She glanced toward the exit where Mason had vanished. He won't like that. He doesn't get a vote, I said. Her shoulders dropped, less a surrender than a relief. Okay, but the gym has long echoes. And some people don't like the sound of their name when they're not the biggest voice in the room. Mason reappeared faster than I expected, keys in hand, faux casual stride. He'd changed shirts, the universal sign of someone who wanted a do-over. He lingered at a distance calibrated to be near if needed, far if not. Then he closed the space. Look, he said to her, not me. I didn't come to cause drama. You came because you were invited, she said. And I'm uninviting you from the conversation. He lifted his palms, grin switching on like a light he'd paid for. No harm. Just saying, don't let this get weird. It's already weird, she said. Because I made it weird. With something I said. She turned to me, voice steadying mid-sentence. And I'm fixing it. He laughed, then aimed it at me. Dude, it's not that deep. I let the quiet stretch. If you think it's not deep, I said, it's because you've never been cut where no one else can see. The smile thinned. He looked at her again, reached for the only lever he trusted. You sure you want this? He asked her. You used to like competitive guys. She didn't blink. I like respectful ones. He stepped back a fraction. We done, he said, brittle. We are, she said. Thanks for coming by. He stared a beat longer, then pivoted toward the door. When it swung open, daylight washed his shoulders, made him look smaller. He left without the last word. That, I realized, was the word. She turned to me. I need to say it to more than you, she said. To our friends. Her chin lifted. Today, I nodded. Good. But first, she said, eyes flicking to the bench, a ghost of humor returning like circulation to a limb. Do you need a spot? Yeah, I said. One more set. I thought the last set would be the full stop. It turned out to be a comma before the sentence we actually needed to write. We met our friends at the juice bar up front, where the air smelled like oranges and sanitizer. Kat was mid-story about a trainer who said glutes, like a prayer when we joined. She clocked our faces, paused. Everything cool. She looked at my girlfriend. My girlfriend looked at me. I nodded. I said something ugly this week, she began. No preamble, no flourish. About him. A few glances ping-ponged around. She didn't flinch. It wasn't true. It was designed to hurt. And it was none of your business. Silence. Then Noah coughed into his smoothie. I mean, we didn't exactly want it. But yeah, it became our business. That's on me, she said. I don't want to be that person. I don't want you to think he's less so I can feel more. That's not love. The word landed. It sounded more like a choice than a feeling. Kat sipped, eyes sharp and kind. So what changes? Me, she said. Starting with what I say when I'm mad. And what I don't say when I want to win. All eyes slid to me. I'm not taking a victory lap, I said. I just want peace that isn't purchased with somebody else's blood. Kat nodded slowly. Fair. Noah raised his cup. 2 adults. Occasionally. We clinked plastic lids. The moment didn't fix history. It did fix the direction. And then her phone lit up with a name neither of us wanted to see again. Because stories don't end where you hope. They end where the truth runs out of places to hide. Mason's name glowed on her screen, a preview bar slicing the moment. You made me look stupid. You owe me a chance to explain. She turned the phone so I could see. I'll handle it, she said. How? I asked. By not continuing the show, she said. She typed, thumbs steady. I'm responsible for my words, not your image. We're done. Please don't contact me again. Send. 3 dots. Then more. So you're picking the bench guy? Cute. Another bubble. He'll get comfortable. You'll get bored. Call me then. She locked the screen, face neutral. Block him, I said. She did. Little blue text, then a gray menu. Block this caller. Tap. Kat had watched the whole thing with the detached focus of someone who'd seen 100 versions of the same scene. Proud of you, she said. Working on it, my girlfriend answered. We finished our drinks. The room felt lighter. Outside, the sunlight slapped the sidewalk bright and ordinary. We stepped into it like a stage we hadn't rehearsed for. On the walk to the car, she slid her hand into mine without looking. You still mad? She asked. Yes, I said. But differently. Differently how? Before, I was mad at you. Now I'm mad at the pattern. I exhaled. And I don't want it in my life. It won't be, she said. I wanted to believe her. For the first time since the smirk, I almost did. Almost is not always enough. There was one more conversation we'd been postponing, the hardest one to lift. That night, no music, no gym smell, just the clean quiet of our apartment. The dishwasher hummed. I set 2 mugs on the counter. Chamomile, not a truce, just heat. I can accept an apology, I said, and I can see the effort. But I need a boundary that means something when we're both tired, or late, or human. She wrapped her fingers around the mug like she was negotiating with warmth. Name it. No more below-the-belt shots, I said. No body talk. No ex-comparisons. No public digs. If you go there, we pause the conversation and pick it up when you can stay above the line. She nodded immediately. Done. And there's a consequence if the line gets crossed, I said. The word made her blink. Not punishment. Consequence. We stop the talk. We sleep alone that night. We don't make plans for the next day. We reset. She swallowed. Okay. One more, I said. If either of us uses the group chat as a weapon again, we own it publicly. Same day. No softening. A slow breath left her. Okay, she repeated, steadier. I can live with that. I want to. I studied her face for the tells I'd learned. Defensiveness in the jaw, the blink rate of performance. I didn't see them. What I saw was something smaller and more valuable, willingness. I'm not perfect, she said. But I'm not a villain either. I know, I said. I'm not a scoreboard. We stood there until the hum of the dishwasher became a metronome. She stepped closer. Thank you, she said, for not turning this into a spectacle. I thought of the bench, of the plates, of the glance that passed between us when the bar moved slow and steady. We already had a spectacle, I said. I just chose the ending. But even a good ending needs proof it sticks. And life provides it in the most ordinary ways. 2 weeks later, we were late for a movie. A line of red brake lights turned the boulevard into a necklace. She hates being late. So do I. In the old script, this is where we'd trade jabs about whose fault it was and carry the argument like contraband into the theater. She tightened her grip on the wheel, inhaled. I braced. I'm going to say what I want to say, she said, eyes on the traffic, and not say the other thing. What's the other thing? I asked. The cheap win, she said. The one I don't want anymore. I watched her face in the window reflection, jaw unclenched, mouth soft. Say what you want to say, I said. I feel anxious when we're late, she said. It makes me spiral. And when I spiral, I reach for the fastest control. That's you. I don't want to do that. Can we leave earlier next time? Yes, I said, instantly lighter. We can leave earlier. She exhaled, and, this mattered, smiled without the smirk. Thank you. We missed the previews. We didn't miss the point. Later that week, we ran into Mason outside the grocery store. He looked past us like we were ghosts. She didn't flinch. Do you need to go another way? I asked. No, she said. We're going this way. We passed him like weather. No words. No scoreboard. Just distance doing what distance does best. Back home, I set my gym bag down and felt a surprising quiet inside my chest. Not triumph, peace. The bench had been a demonstration. The boundary was the decision. That night, as we folded laundry, she said it out loud, simple as pairing socks. I haven't brought up his name again. I noticed, I said. She looked up, met my eyes. And I won't. I believed her. Not because of the lift. Because of the line. Finally, the weight we were carrying wasn't iron. It was choice. And we could both hold it. People think closure arrives with a dramatic moment. A door slam. A big speech. An epic comeback set to a playlist that hits every beat drop on cue. Sometimes it does. More often, it enters quietly, like a person who knows the house and doesn't need to knock. The gym gave us a scene. It didn't give us a life. That part we had to assemble, bolt by bolt, boundary by boundary. The first week after, we were careful with each other the way people are after a close call on the freeway. Hands at 10 and 2, blinker on early, eye scanning. By the second week, the care became less like fear and more like practice. She didn't bring up Mason. I didn't bring up the bench. We brought up calendars and dinner plans, and whose turn it was to buy coffee. When small frictions sparked, we noticed the moment the air got dry. We added water, questions, not accusations, pauses, not performances. Our friends adjusted too. The jokes shifted from "remember the gym" to "who's bringing guac." That's a mercy I won't forget. When people stop feeding the fire because they can tell you're trying to build a house. A month later, we were at another Saturday workout. New faces, same base, fresh chalk prints on the floor. A kid asked me about his wrist position on bench. I fixed it, watched his bar path smooth like a zipper closing. He grinned like he'd found a secret. It wasn't. It was fundamentals. That's the thing I learned, or remembered. Relationships are fundamentals: respect, repair, restraint. The flashy lifts, the big gestures, matter less than how you re-rack after a miss. There's a version of this story where I humiliate a guy and win a woman who keeps score for me instead of against me. That version is loud, satisfying for about a day, and useless after. I didn't want it. I wanted quiet that held. We're not perfect. Last week I was late again, traffic's boring cousin. Poor planning. She noticed the old road rising under our tires. She put on the blinker early. I'm frustrated, not cruel. And took the exit. I apologized without a closing argument. We made the movie. The previews were fine. Sometimes I catch her watching me at the gym when I'm not doing anything impressive. Just re-racking, wiping the bench, giving someone else a spot. She smiles in a way that looks like a decision she keeps making. People ask if I ever think about Mason. Only when I pass the mirror where the bar path slows and you decide whether to keep pressing. The answer stays the same. Tight lats, steady breath, eyes up. She hasn't said bigger since. We picked a different word. Better. Not as a flex. As a direction. And when I think about that Saturday, I don't remember the numbers. I remember the moment after, at the fountain, when she let the truth run out of places to hide. That was the heaviest lift. That's the one we spotted together. If you've ever been hit with a cheap shot in a relationship, the kind designed to land where no one else can see, you know how tempting it is to swing back harder. Sometimes the loudest answer works. Most days, the better answer is a boundary you actually keep. If this story sounds like something you've lived through, tell me how you handled it. Did you choose the spectacle or the line? What changed after? I post real, messy, fixable stories like this every day. No perfect heroes, no cartoon villains. Just people learning how to carry their weight without dropping each other. If that resonates, stick around. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that bigger isn't better, better is better. And if you're in the middle of your own gym day moment right now, here's your cue. Steady breath, eyes up. You don't have to win the room. You just have to choose the life you want to live in after.